Hello, folks. I am Marvel Master's personal AI assistant, and today he is going to teach you the basics how he created me. Although my voice sounds way nicer, I'm now handing over to Marvel Master. Have fun watching the video.
Hello folks, I am Marvel Master and welcome to this tutorial. In today's video I'm going to teach you how you can create an AI assistant with Unreal Engine 5, ChatGPT and ElevenLabs text-to-speech. The assistant will work similarly like the one in front of me. I will press a button, ask the assistant something, and it will respond. Let me show you. Hello, how are you today?
I am still functioning properly and ready to assist you with whatever you need. Please let me know how I can help you.
The tutorial will contain the setup for voice recognition, ChatGPT, ElevenLabs voice response, as well as all requirements and limitations. It will not include the hand movement or the lip glow, but if you are interested into the whole project file, I will upload it to my Patreon, so you can head there through the link in my description and consider subscribing, so you will have access to the project I'm sitting in front of. First, let's start with the limitations and requirements. You will need an account for OpenAI and ElevenLabs. When creating an account on OpenAI the first time, you will grant access to a $5 free credit during the first 3 months. So I think you can use the AI system with Unreal Engine 4 without any problems. Because, let me show you, I used the OpenAI API key a very lot in May, and I only paid 15 cents for it. So don't be afraid if even the 3 months are over, you can still enter billing options and then pay for it. But as I said, in my case, it's really cheap. With ElevenLabs, it's a little different story. You can create an account freely. You will also get 10,000 characters for free for 1 month. And it will be enough for a little testing, but if you need more, you can choose to subscribe on their service to a higher tier and get even more characters per month if you need them. For me personally, it's not enough at the moment, so I am working on an account of a friend. But if you need it, you might consider subscribing to a higher tier. Now let's move to the requirements. I'm going to use 3 plugins for the whole process. The runtime speech recognizer to recognize my speech through my microphone. The runtime audio importer to import the audio I am recording into the engine. And the virus plugin. This is for the communication with the APIs. All of these 3 plugins are completely free. You can download them right away. But one thing you have to keep in mind, if you already have one of these 3 downloaded already, then you have to check if they are up to date. You can do this by going to your Epic Games launcher, to your engine versions, and it says below your engine version installed plugins. You can click on that, and once you installed all of them, you will see them in this list: the virus plugin, the runtime speech recognizer, and the runtime audio importer. And they need to be up to date. And if there is an update, there will be a little button or even a button on the right to update it. Please make sure that you have the latest version, otherwise you might run into problems. I myself had the problem that during my development, the runtime audio importer had an update and that broke my whole process but I figured it out. Alright, then let's actually start with creating the AI assistant from scratch. So as you can see, I am in my Epic Games launcher, and I'm going to press start on Unreal Engine 5.1. Here I'm going to click on Games. I choose third person, so we have a mannequin there. Then I call my project AI Assistant and hit create. Alright, once the engine has opened, I make sure that all plugins we will need are installed. So I head to the top right and press plugins. Here I'm searching for the VARES plugins. Then I'm going to search for audio importer and select the runtime audio importer. And then again I search for the speech recognizer. Select the speech recognizer, and then I press restart now. Once the engine has restarted, I can close the plugin window, and let's first check if my character is walking. Yes, it is. And now let's first create our speech recognition. For speech recognition to work, you of course need to have a microphone. So make sure you will have one, otherwise the whole process won't work like that. However, during the tutorial there will be a ChatGPT section where basically string commands are entered. So if you don't have a microphone, you can skip the voice recognition and start in the later section of this tutorial. All the code for voice recognition I'm going to put into the third person blueprint here. So I'm head to third person blueprint, open the third person character. And I'm right away going to start with the coding here. So the plan is to press a button, record my voice, output it to a string and send it to ChatGPT later. So I right click, and because I'm using hashtag for recording, I press hashtag, press enter, and here's my button hashtag. Whenever I press the hashtag or hold it, my recording will be started. Most of the code we need now is based on the voice recognition plugin. So I head to the Unreal Engine Marketplace website of the runtime speech recognizer. And down in the description, there is a documentation link where I click on. And I go to the documentation. And on the right, there is a button that says how to use the plugin. I click on that, and a little down, there are two examples we're going to use. In our case, we are going to use streaming audio input. Of course, we are streaming from a microphone and not from a file. And in this little text, there is a link to copyable notes. I can click on that, and it will direct me to blueprintue.com, where I can zoom out here, select all these nodes, hit Control and C, and then go to my engine again, and here I can hit Control and V. All the code will be pasted into my engine. So now there will be a few errors here if you try to compile, but let's fix this. The custom event is our hashtag pressed, so I can delete the custom event. The speech recognizer is missing the variables, and I'm going for all missing variables now to right click on each and create variable. Once I've done that, all the errors are gone, and we can check if it's working. As you can see, there is an unrecognized text segment event, and it prints a string of the text I have spoken into the microphone. So let's test this. I hit compile and save, minimize it, play my game. And now when I press hashtag and hold it, my voice will be recognized and printed out as string. Hello, can you hear me? As you can see, that worked. My voice has been recognized and printed out as string. One important thing to mention here is that this runtime speech recognizer has settings. You can access these settings by the button on the top right, and then go to project settings. And here on the bottom left there is a runtime speech recognizer section. And there is not a lot of settings, but very important settings. For example, the language models. It's very important to know that the higher language model you choose, the more computation time your PC will need. And the computation time rises exponentially when you choose a higher value than tiny. If you, for example, use small or large, it will automatically download these models and then use them. But if you execute the code then, your PC might hang for a few minutes. So I'm going to use tiny. However, if you have an extremely powerful PC, meaning 64 cores or more, you can try small or medium, which will increase the voice recognition quality by a lot. But keep in mind, the computation time rises also a very lot. So I'm sticking with tiny at the moment. And another thing you can set here is the model language. You can set it to English only or to multilingual, which means you could also use other languages, Asian, Spanish, French, German. And your voice will be recognized as these languages and printed out as string. However, also choosing multilingual as option will also increase computational time and also delay in the whole process. So I'm going to stick with English at the moment. Now for better debugging, let's open the third-person character again. And let's put a little command here in front to print if it's recording. Print string. That says recording started. So you know if the button press is working and if the recording has started. And then let's add some more prints to when the recognition has started. So let's put it here. Print string. Voice recognition started. Let's make it green. And 4 seconds. And another one when the speech recognition has been stopped. So we know when the process has been stopped. Let's make that orange. And 3 seconds. Another thing I want to do is to stop the voice recognition once I release the hashtag button. So at the moment, it only captures 5 seconds, but I change it to when I release my hashtag button, it immediately stops capturing and I delete the delay. So now when I'm going to hold my hashtag button, the voice recognition is permanently fired, and once I release it, it will be stopped. At some point you might notice that if you are going to try to speech longer text, that it will bug out. This is because your speech is broken into text segments, which means each text segment can be like 5 seconds long. And after that, a new segment will be recorded or recognized. If you need to speak longer text, you can right-click and search for recognition parameters, make speech recognition parameters. And here you can set the step size to higher, for example. Like if you need to speak 15 seconds, you can set this to 15,000 here. And also you can change some other settings here, but you can refer to the documentation on the Runtime Speech Recognizer website if you need to. Because there's everything explained what you will need if you need to change anything here. But for our purpose now, the setup I'm going to do here is completely fine. So let's hit compile and save and test it again. Now when I hit hashtag and hold it, the recognition is fired. And when I release it, the recognition will stop. Hello world, I am Marvel Master. Alright, that was the first part about recognizing your voice and printing it out as a string. So I can select all, press C, and call it voice recognition. Okay, now let's move on with the ChatGPT integration. So when our voice recognized string has been created, we can fire an event and run the conversation with ChatGPT. To do that, I'm going to create a new event here. So I right click and type custom event and add a custom event, and I'm going to call it enter voice prompt. From here I'm going to drag a line and for debugging purpose print a string again, print string, and call it prompt chat GPT. Make it green again in maybe 5 seconds or so we know what is happening. Then I'm going to create a new variable here on the bottom left. Click this plus button and I call it input prompt and make it a string on the top right. And once that variable is created, I can connect this variable by dragging out a line from the print string and type input prompt and set input prompt. I'll leave it a little space here because we will add something in between a little bit later, but let's first move on. From the input prompt, I connect the input to the event and it will create an output for the event. And this event I'm going to call after the voice recognition has been happened. So after on recognized text segment, I'm going to drag a line and type enter voice prompt. And this enter voice prompt I'm going to connect to the recognized words. Now when I double click on the enter voice prompt, I am teleported to the position where we were before and I can move on here. So our voice prompt is now written into this input prompt variable. From here I am going to make use of the varrest plugin now. So I connect the input prompt to a construct JSON request. And if you don't see anything like you have to uncheck this context sensitive checkbox on the top and you will see something will appear. And in my case, I'm going to construct a JSON request. And inside, I will change the verb to post and the content type to JSON. And from the target, I drag a line and type varrest subsystem and select the very bottom one, the very top one, sorry. From here, from the construct JSON request, I'm going to connect a node called set request object and connect this to the return value. And for the JSON object, I create a node that is called make JSON. And when you click on it, you can add inputs to the make.json. We need 3, 1, 2, 3. The first one will be the model, the ChatGPT model we are going to use. Type will be string. The second one will be messages. And the type will be an object as an array, very important. And the third one will be max tokens, and this will be number. Alright, once the make.json is set up, we can add the model, which is GPT 3.5 Turbo, and the max tokens I use will be 100 now. This is basically how many words ChatGPT will use to answer you. If you set this value too low, the answers might be cut at some point. And if this value is too high, the answers might be very extensive. But you have to keep in mind, this will use your tokens you might pay for it someday. So I keep 100 at the moment. And for the messages, this is an array. So I drag out a line from here and say make array. I add a pin. And the first one will be also a make.json. And the second one again will be a make.json. And again for the JSONs we have to add inputs here. The first JSON, we need 2 inputs. One is the role, which is a string, and the second one is content, which is also a string. The role will tell ChatGPT what it is, and the content will tell ChatGPT what purpose or personality will have. For example, the content, I am going to tell it that you are an AI named assistant, you help with Unreal Engine development and general questions, and you answer with a maximum of 50 words. This is a little trick. So, as you might know, ChatGPT tends to write very extensive answers, and with that, you keep the answers compact and save some tokens. For the role, I type system here, and we have to do this for us as user too, for the make.json. So we need 2 inputs here again. The first one will be role as a string. The second one will be content also as a string. And for role, I type user, and the content will be the input prompt. Hit compile and save. You might ask yourself now where I got this information from, and all of this information I got from the OpenAI API reference. When I head to the OpenAI website again, when you logged in, on the very top there's an API reference, and on the left there's a chat section. And here are some crucial information. For example, the role, which roles we can have. The system is usually ChatGPT or assistant, and we are the user. And we added the model, which is ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo, and we added an array of messages, one for the role user with the content, and one for the role assistant or system with its content. Also, we added the JSON object, which is this one here, where we set the max tokens. Let's move on with the next section. We have to add headers here, and the header info I got from the top here. Content types and authorization. So let's move on by connect the set request object to a set header. Target will be the construct JSON request. And the header name will be authorization, like in the API reference. Authorization, copy and paste it into the header name, and the header value will be your API key, but with bearer written in front. So let's drag out a line here and make it as a variable, but as a special string. So let's connect this to an append. Hit the context sensitive again here, and it will append only a string here. And for the A, type bearer, and don't forget the space after it. I can even note it here, space after bearer. And the B is the API key, which we are going to promote as a variable. I'm calling it Open AI API key. So then you can hit compile, and then when you click on this Open AI key, you can fill its contents on the right. To get an Open AI key, you head to openai.com and sign up an account. Once you have signed up and logged in, you might see this website and we want to access the API. So I click on API, and in the top right where it says personal, you can view your API keys. So click on it, and you can view them only once. If you haven't written them down before, or if you have created them before, you can't access them again. So you can create a new one if you need to, and I'm going to call it UE5 tutorial. UE5 tutorial. I create this new secret key, copy it, note it down because I will not be able to exit it later. And then I head to my engine again, click on the OpenAI API key, and paste it into this field. So now the whole string for the authorization is written like bearer, space, and then the OpenAI key. Now let's move on by setting another header. So set header. And the target will be again the construct JSON request. The header name is again on the API reference called content type. So I select and copy it and paste it into the header name. And the header value will be application JSON. So copy this and paste it into the set header value. Now from here we process an URL, so process URL. And again, the target will be JSON request, and the URL will actually be the system we are using for this ChatGPT response. So head to the API reference again and select the link, copy, and paste it into the URL. Hit compare and save in between, so if it crashes, you don't lose everything. From here we find event on request complete, and after that we bind event on request fail. So if our request is completed, so if our string is sent to ChatGPT and it has answers for us, we can run a custom event and call it GPT request complete. And to check if you have correctly set up your OpenAI account, you better enter some debugging options here. Just follow along. Get response as string. This will send the whole response that ChatGPT sends to us as string. The target is the request. And if the string contains substring, which means if the response contains anything that says exceeded, so if you have no tokens left, or if you have not paid, or if you have not set up your account correctly, then we branch and print a string that says OpenAI no tokens left, and we make it red and 10 seconds. So if at any point you get this notice, you might have set up your account wrong, or you have no tokens left, or you have no free tokens left, or you made an account on the wrong website. Now let's hit compile. Okay, there's an error because target is not set for the bind request complete and fail. So the target is again the JSON construct request. Same as for the fail, just construct JSON request. Then I can hit compile again, and the fail still an error because there is no event added to it. So I just back out the line and add custom event, call it GPT request failed, and from here I just print something, print string GPT request failed. Make it properly red again, and duration again 10 seconds. But this should only happen when there's no connection to the server or something. Then I hit compile and save. And we are nearly finished with it. Let's move on. The GPT request is complete, and there is no error about exceeded tokens or something. Then we can print a string, which will be our GPT response. And for the GPT response, we need something that is an response object. So I go to GPT request complete and connect it to get response object. From here, I connect it to get object select array field. The field name is choices, and the return value is an array where I type get a copy of this array, index 0, and from the get I break JSON, and this JSON will again have some outputs here at this time. The name of the output will be message, and it will be an object, and this message we connect to a break JSON again, and the break JSON this time is named content and a string. And this string we plug into our print string. Let's make it pink. So we know that this is the answer from ChatGPT or OpenAI API. So let's hit compile and save and test it. Alright, now when I hit play and I hold hashtag, I will say something and it should respond in pink text. Hello, can you hear me? As you can see, nothing is happening. And we have some errors here when I close the play mode. So let's find out what happened. This is also a good opportunity to show you what can go wrong and how to debug this thing. So we get the response content as string, so we can use it to find out what happened. So I drag out a line from here and print string and connect the get response content as string to the print string. Let's make the print string red again. And maybe duration of 10 seconds. Let's hit compile and save. Okay, let's try it again. Hello, can you hear me? Okay, there's an error message. Messages is a required property. Alright, then let's head to the section where I set this option. It's in the make JSON as the messages set up. And I already see what is the problem. I didn't exactly write what's written in the API reference. Let's head to the API reference again. API reference, chat completion. And here it says model and messages, but with no capital letter. This is very important. Write it as it's written here. So I change the model name with a small m and the messages with also a small m. Hit compile and save. Let's try it again. Hello, can you hear me? And here we get a response. And there is even a content that says, yes, I can hear you. Okay, now we can move on from there. Seems to be working now. So I can delete my print string again from the GPT request complete. And connect the get response content as string to the branch again. And now when I do the same again, I should get a response in pink. Hello, can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. How can I assist you today? All right. So it seems like the voice input is working now. And we get a response from ChatGPT. So I can select this whole section here, press C, and call it GPT response. Okay, the GPT response seems to be working, but now we have a little problem. Because the AI has no function to remember what we are talking about. So let me show you what I mean. Can you tell me what the biggest ocean is? The biggest ocean is the Pacific Ocean, covering approximately blah blah blah. Okay. Now I will ask a question referring to the question before. And what is the smallest animal there? Sometimes your voice does not get recognized properly, so you have to do it again. And what is the smallest animal there? The smallest animal in the world is Fairfly, which is type blah 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 blah. So it doesn't see the context and what I'm talking about. And this is a big problem, because every question you ask ChatGPT, it will respond with a new answer, not knowing what we were talking before. So we're going to fix this by storing our conversation into variables. So let's do this now. Inside the blueprint again, we go to where our voice is recognized and set as a string. On recognized text segment event. Here we have to store our text somehow. So let's drag this to the side, and in between we right click and type add array. And we connect this between these two nodes. And then right click again and type append string. And this append string return value you plug into the bottom of the add array node. And from the array target, you drag out a line and promote to variable and call this conversation array on the bottom left. Now this is our conversation array where all the conversation will be stored, and the value that is written into this array will be we as user and the actual text that has been recognized by speech recognition. So the user says the text we are speaking into the microphone, and this line will be added to the conversation array. This also means we don't have to input our prompt here again, but you can double click on here to go to the GPT response again, and then disconnect the input prompt. And the new input prompt will be our right-click conversation array, get conversation array, join string array, and connect this to the input prompt. And the separator will be just a space. So everything we say now will be written as a line. For example, user space and then whatever we have spoken into the mic. This will be the first line we are sending to ChatGPT. So this will be the line for our inputs, and now we need another line for the responses from the system from ChatGPT. So let's head to the end of the ChatGPT response, where the GPT request complete is. And here we add a few nodes after the print string, which will still be the response from ChatGPT, but we store the response into the array. So from the break.json, let's append the text again, but not into the A, but into the B. And into the A, we write system, because the system is ChatGPT, and then we add the line that GPT answered. Add array to the conversation array. So this means the text that is written into the array will be first the user us, whatever we spoke into the mic. The next line will be this above, will be system, whatever GPT responded. This is the value of the array after these nodes. User, whatever you spoke into the mic, and system, whatever GPT responded. Now let's test this. In theory, the AI assistant should be able to refer to questions and topics we talked before. Hello, can you tell me what is the biggest ocean? The biggest ocean is the Pacific Ocean, covers blah blah area, blah blah, okay. Now I will ask the same question, what is the smallest animal there? And what is the smallest animal there? Again, my voice does not seem to be recognized properly, so I try again. And what is the smallest animal there? The smallest animal in the Pacific Ocean is likely a type of plankton or small fish like goby blah blah blah. As you can see now, the AI assistant is now responding to the topic properly that we discussed before. So this now seems to be working. And we now can speak to ChatGPT and it is responding as this text. So we move on with creating the voice reply with ElevenLabs. Alright, to get an ElevenLabs voice reply, let's create a custom event again. Let's call it custom event, add custom event, run speech reply. From here, we print the string again for debugging purposes, creating voice reply. Let's make it, I don't know, yellow and 5 seconds. So we know this will be executed. And the voice reply will be executed after our GPT response. The GPT response is finished after the response has been added to the conversation array. So let's run the speech reply. I double click on it again. I land on the ElevenLabs section. Okay, from here we are needing an input for the voice reply. We need to send the text to ElevenLabs that it can convert to speech. So click on the event, add an input here. Let's call it just GPT reply and make it a string. So from here we promote it to a variable and then we move on like we did in the GPT setup. So we construct a JSON, context sensitive again disabled, construct JSON request, connect the target to var rest subsystem again, and the verb is post and the content type JSON again. From here, let's set request object, and the JSON object will be a make JSON again. And for the make JSON, we need some elements again. 1, 2, 3. The first one will be text. Second, as a string, sorry. The second one will be the model ID. And the third one will be voice settings will be an object. The text will be our GPT reply, what we will be sending to ElevenLabs. The model ID we need to get from the API, so let's do that. For the voice response, I like ElevenLabs most because it has the best text to voice system in my opinion. So I'm heading to Google and search for ElevenLabs and click on the first link here. Now I'm going to create a new account. Button on the top right, sign up, and I enter my email address and my password. Agree the terms of service and sign up. Now I have received a mail and I'm going to confirm it quickly. Okay, I confirmed the link in the mail and now I can click on sign in. Edit my credentials again. Now let's test this quickly. I choose Bella because I like Bella the most.
Hello world, I am Bella.
And as you see, this works. When you've created an account at ElevenLabs, there's also a tab that says resources. And here is an API reference, same as from the OpenAI API. And what we want to use is a text-to-speech stream in this case. And here are again the information we need. For example, the model ID in this case is 11 monolingual V1. Select and copy it, and then move to my engine again and paste it into the model ID. And the voice settings is in this case another make JSON, which has inputs too. And the inputs are the ability and similarity boost. Again, where do I know these from? From the ElevenLabs API. Ability and similarity boost. You can also copy and paste these into the engine and also its values. 0.5, let's say 0.5. One side note, a few side notes here. The stability and similarity boost. Stability means how emotional the ElevenLabs voice will sound. So if you set it to 0, the voice will be very emotional. If you set it to 1, it will be very clear and robotic, I'd say. Let's set it to 0.5. And similarity boost will be how versatile the voice will be if you ask the same questions. So if you ask the same question multiple times, and this is set to 1, the voice reply will always sound the same. And if it's set to 0, the voice reply will sound always different. So we stick with 0.5 this time again. And for the model ID, ElevenLabs recently introduced the multilingual model. But for this purpose, we only use the English model. But if you like to have different languages as output, you can also use the multilingual model. But you have to keep in mind that if you want to use the multilingual model, it might also have a bad influence on the delay of the whole assistant. So we stick to the monolingual model at the moment. Alright, then let's move on here. We again set header. Here the target is again the construct JSON request return value. The header will be accept. And the header value will be audio MPEG. Where do I know these from? Again, here's the first header. As you can see, we will need 3. Then let's do the next header. Set header. Target will be again the return value of the JSON request. The header name will be the XI API key. So I copy, paste it, and the header value will be the ElevenLabs API key. So let's drag out a line here and check context sensitive, promote to variable, and call it on the bottom left ElevenLabs key. Let's compile and save. And where do you get your ElevenLabs key from? I can show you. On the ElevenLabs website again, you can click on the top right and go to Profile. And here you can reveal your API key. This is mine. Don't try to use it. I will delete it once the video is finished, so don't even try. But different to the OpenAI API key, you can always exit it and copy it again. And then head to the engine again. Click on the ElevenLabs key. You must have compiled it before. Then you can paste it here. And the ElevenLabs key is entered. Then we can move on with setting another header, which targets again the JSON request. And this time it will be content type. For the header name and application JSON for the header value. From here we can now process again URL. Target again is the JSON request and the URL. We also get from the API reference. Let me show you. It's in the API reference, text-to-speech stream, and then we can copy this link without the brackets and then paste it here. But here is a section that says voice ID. And as I said before, I like to use Bella. Bella has the voice ID, which is this number. Where can you find these numbers? You can find these numbers, for example, on the AutoGPT GitHub. Did not find them on the ElevenLabs website. I'm sure they are hidden there somehow, but I found them now on the AutoGPT GitHub, and I will post this link or the table into the description of the video. So you can use either Bella or other voices, or if you have a subscription with the ElevenLabs service, you can even create your own voice and then have an own voice ID, which is pretty cool in my opinion. Alright, but for this video now, I'm going to use Bella here. And so I pasted it into the link at this point. And here is some additional information that I couldn't even find in the API. ElevenLabs seems to have 5 different modes for latency. And you can adjust the latency by adding a little string behind this link. I will paste the string here and also below the video in the description. And basically, optimized streaming latency means 4 for lowest quality and 0 for best quality. But the higher the number, the lower the latency is. The lower the number, the higher the latency is, but the quality is better. So you can choose for yourself. But I prefer lower latency for a better assistant experience, so I choose 4 in this case. Alright, then let's move on. Same as with ChatGPT, we bind event on complete, request complete, and also bind event on request fail. The targets will be again the JSON request. And if it fails, we again add a custom event. Each request failed. And this one will just print the string if the server is not reachable or something. Oops. Each request failed. And what we need is the on request complete. So the event we bind to add custom event and call it voice request complete. And here again for debugging purposes, because if you run out of tokens or have done something wrong, we add get response as string. The target is the request. And if the response contains a string, that is called exceed. Then we branch. And if a response says that something is exceeded, then we print a string and say ran out of ElevenLabs tokens. Make it red and 10 seconds again. But if everything is fine and the response is a MP3 file or something, then we create runtime audio importer, because we want to import the file from ElevenLabs and play it as sound. So create runtime importer. Promote it to a variable. Call this variable importer. From there, we bind event on result. And then import from buffer. Import audio from buffer. And the target from import audio from buffer is the importer. And the audio data will be voice request complete. Get response content, and the return value goes into the audio data. And the audio format should be MP3, since ElevenLabs sends the audio file as MP3. And now for the bind event on result, add a custom event, and we call it on result. And for debugging purposes, we again print a string playing voice reply. Again, maybe green and 5 seconds. Okay, now let's test if the playing voice reply is printed. So I hit play and we'll ask something. Hello, can you hear me? Playing voice reply, nice. So import seems to have been working. And now we can move on to create a character that will play our voice reply. To do that, inside the content browser, just right click, create a blueprint class, use a character, call it GPT Assistant, and drag it into the world. Then I opened my GPT Assistant. For the mesh, I choose a mannequin, SK mannequin. For the new one, SK many. Put it into right position here, rotate it a little. Add animation blueprint of the many. It's just a person that can talk to us, basically. Then I go into the event graph, delete everything here. Then let's create a new custom event. Add custom event, and I call it start voice assistant. The voice assistant will play an audio file. So let's add an input to this event. Let's call it voice response audio. And the type is sound base object reference. All right. The sound base object reference, the voice response audio, is actually in our character, the imported sound wave from ElevenLabs. So let's find the character in the world from here. Get actor of class, GPT assistant, run this event, start voice assistant, and connect the imported sound wave to voice response audio. Hit compile and save. Then I click on start voice assistant again. And from here we can just play it by adding a audio component. I call it audio just for now. Drag it into the blueprint editor during holding control. Then I set sound and connect it to the start voice assistant. And the new sound is actually the voice response audio. Then I just play audio. Alright, this way, when in our third person character we get a result from ElevenLabs, the MP3 file is sent to the GPT assistant actor, and then the sound is just played. The GPT assistant actor is the one I placed here in the world. And when I press play now, hold the hashtag button and ask something, it should respond. Hello, can you hear me? So if you listen closely, there was a sound So we are getting response from ElevenLabs, but maybe it's a problem with the settings. So let's move over to the settings again. Stability and similarity boost. 0.5 each. Let's check the API again. And on the text-to-speech, ElevenLabs API, text-to-speech stream, there is voice settings, similarity boost, and stability. And its type is a number. Okay, there's a problem. Accidentally, I set its type to a string, but it has to be a number each. Number, then set it to 0.5 again, 0.5 again. And let's give it another go. Hello, can you hear me? Alright, there was a voice reply, but still not what I expected. So let's search further. So there was a voice reply. The settings are correct. What else could be wrong? Maybe the text we are sending to ElevenLabs. So the text is being sent from the ChatGPT. So let's head over to the ChatGPT response. At the very end, okay. The run speech reply does not have a variable set. So what we want the assistant to say is actually the response from ChatGPT. So I connect this. This is the text response from ChatGPT. Then this will be sent to the ElevenLabs system here. And now it should finally work. Let's test it again. I will hold hashtag and say something. Hello, can you hear me?
System, assistant. Yes, I can hear you. How can I assist you today?
Alright, as you can see, it's working now. It's giving a voice reply, but there's a slight problem. The way we set it up is like a conversation, with always the one talking in front of the text. System says something and user is saying something. To prevent that the reply will include system, user, or assistant, we exclude them on the string that we send to ElevenLabs. To do that, we go into the GPT response, and right at the end, we drag a line from the break JSON and type replace. We replace everything that says system : with a space. So whenever system is written in front of the text we are sending to ElevenLabs, it's replaced with just a space. So it will never be seen by ElevenLabs. Now we are going to do this the same for user and assistant. And then I connect the output to the GPT reply that will be sent to ElevenLabs. So whenever system : user : or assistant : appears, it won't be sent to ElevenLabs. So let's hit compile and save again. And then let's try again and try to do a conversation. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How may I assist you today?
Can you tell me the color of grass? Can you tell me the color of grass?
The color of grass is typically green.
Are there other colors too?
That's correct. Grass can come in various shades of green depending on factors such as species, climate, and nutrient levels. However, it can also turn yellow or brown when it's not healthy or during seasonal changes.
Okay, thank you. That's all for today.
You're welcome. Feel free to reach out if you have any other questions in the future.
Alright, as you can see, it's basically working. There are some minor issues with voice recognition. Maybe it's just on my side because I'm not a native English speaker. But again, if you also have problems with voice recognition, you can still tweak the settings for the runtime speech recognizer and choose a higher model or check your microphone input. So it seems to be working now. And I would say the whole system is finished now. So the ElevenLabs section I can comment now with ElevenLabs voice response, hit compile and save. So now you see we have voice recognition here, a GPT response, and that response is sent to ElevenLabs and then sent back as MP3 to us and we play it as sound. Little side note here, this is the very basic setup. You can do a lot much more with it. And one side note about delay. We are using the ElevenLabs text-to-speech streaming, but we don't really make use of it. We wait until the response is complete, but maybe there is a way to play the sound during the response. This means the delay would be way less. So if anybody figures out how to do this, you can share this to all of us, because actually the ElevenLabs voice response is the one thing that has most delay on the whole process here. Alright, that's it for this tutorial. I will let the AI or my personal AI now close this video. I hope you liked it. I see you next time.
Thank you for watching the video. I hope you learned a lot today. If you got any questions or suggestions, just write a comment below or join the Discord server. See link in the description. Even with the help of ChatGPT, creating an AI assistant like me was extremely difficult and time-intensive. So if you feel the need to support Marvel Master's channel, consider subscribing to his Patreon. The link is also in the description. The complete project file, as you see me here, will be available for Patreons to download there. This video is not sponsored by anyone, but if OpenAI, Epic Games, or ElevenLabs feel the need to sponsor Marvel Master, feel free to contact him. Have a good day and see you in the next video. Bye.